Hey, that's the right button. I pushed the be right back button. Is the mic working? Mic's working.
Yeah.
I'm in the chat, doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about new comic books. It's New Comic Book Day.
Yes.
Or tomorrow's New
Comic
Book
Day.
And then we're talking about comic books today that come out tomorrow. Oh my goodness. Nice. You can't say poopy words on our stream, young lady. But sorry, I scared you. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, welcome to the stream, and we're going to talk about, you're fine, we're going to talk about what's coming out tomorrow. What do you got, Aaron?
Man,
I'm just going to hide in the chat.
I got a mix of old and new, because as I often complain, I'm an old guy and I like old guy comics. So we're going to look at some old stuff, some reprints. We're going to look at some new stuff, because there are 4 new #1 issues coming out tomorrow.
4.
And I read all 4 of them today.
Wow.
So I can tell you about
You
them
had a busy day.
in detail. I did.
You had a busy day.
But talking about being old, I don't want to waste too much time on personal drama.
Okay.
But I've never felt more old than I have right now, because over the weekend I wrenched my back doing some very basic yard work. And I've basically been laying in bed for the last 2 days doing nothing but reading comics.
Nice.
And it wasn't even like heavy lifting. It was just like basic, like I picked a stick off the ground, and that was it. That ruined my back.
Oh.
So.
Do we normally have music going with this?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, we do. Well, tell us about the thing tell us about your injury while I find the music that we normally play. I don't even know what's going on.
I don't have much else to say other than I'm embarrassed to say that I'm old. Which is why we're going to talk about some old guy comics first, before we get into the new Youngblood stuff.
Understood.
Not Youngblood, the comic book series. That's an old guy comic itself, ironically.
Fox is asking if we have a Twitch tab open. No, I don't have Twitch open anywhere. There we go. Okay, I just put some music on to maybe cover it up. Can you guys hear the music? I did not touch it. It's Twitch doing Twitch stuff. I didn't touch anything. But we're going to talk about old guy injured back comics.
Yes. So first things first, let's just get these out of the way really quick.
Let's get them out of the way.
I love my Marvel.
Thank you, Stone, by the way. Hi.
I love my facsimiles. And Marvel is really spoiling us tomorrow with 2 X-Men related facsimiles, and probably two of the most important X-Men issues. Don't pick my nose on the stream, please. But yeah, so remember last week we talked about Hulk 180. This week is Hulk 181.
The first appearance of Wolverine.
Yeah, and one of the most famous covers. I love this cover. Hulk, Wolverine just going at it.
Should I move this a little bit?
There you go. Yeah.
I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
It's good enough. Classic.
That's what we do around
If you like the old school comics and you always wanted to read the origin of Wolverine, it's not even really the origin. His origin has been developed many times over, but this is his first appearance, and it's just really cool. Classic Herb Trimp art. You got that original Wolverine mask, which only appears in this issue. Oh. And then, because Wolverine, he was just a character, he was like a villain in this issue.
Oh, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy, he's fighting the Hulk. I mean, he's not strictly a bad guy, because the Hulk is kind of like nobody knows what the Hulk is, you know? So he's just like a Canadian agent that's sent to take care of the Hulk, put him down for good.
Wolverine's Canadian?
He's Canadian, yeah.
What?
Yeah. He's the old Knucklehead, I think they call him.
What? What?
I'm blowing your mind.
What?
Yeah, how did you not know that?
I don't know. He's played by, is Hugh Jackman Canadian?
Silver Fox, yeah. Hugh Jackman is Australian, in fact. He's also too tall to play Wolverine, but that's just me.
What's the Silver Fox? Oh, Wolverine's girlfriend.
Wolverine's girlfriend, Silver Fox.
I'm learning so much new stuff today.
Yeah, see, look, we
got... I don't know. Thank you.
I need to be doing the stream with Fox here, not you.
Fox, will you come down and do the stream with Aaron? Because I don't know anything. You lost some street cred there. Did I have any street cred to start with? Fox said no.
No, you didn't. But anyway,
I didn't.
Hulk 181 is one of those comics as a kid growing up.
Everyone's saying no, I didn't.
You don't got it.
That's a tough room.
That's why.
Ouch.
That's why you do this with me, so that you can learn as you go.
I'm learning.
And
That's
gain
the
your
whole
cred.
process.
You know, the other week you sold a comic based on the information you got from the stream.
That's true. I did. What was it? Sunset.
I've already forgotten.
Yeah. Sunset something.
It was something.
Yay, Fox says I have to.
Yeah.
Thank you. Aww. And it's a little... Is that a dragon? I can't read.
I don't know. I don't do emojis.
We still like you, though. We're laughing at you, not with you. That's fair.
Well, let's move on to the other great facsimile.
Facsimile. What is this? Boom.
This is Uncanny X-Men number 101. This is when the first of many times when Jean Grey dies, and she gets reborn as the Phoenix. But this is the first time that you see her as the Phoenix. This is a great cover.
Does she die a lot?
She dies a lot. That's like her whole thing. She
her whole thing is she dies.
That's kind of, yeah. If you've read X-Men for any length of time, you would know that Jean Grey dies and then comes back. And at first, it was like a one-off idea. Like in this issue, she. Well, at the end of the last issue, she like dies, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Jean Grey's dead!" And then immediately she's reborn as the Phoenix. And so there's like a plane crash, and she bursts out of the water. This beautiful artwork by Dave Cockrum. He was always my favorite X-Men artist, and that set the precedent. So she was just the Phoenix for a long time, and then eventually she becomes the Dark Phoenix. She becomes evil, and then they have to kill her. So she dies for a long time.
They made a movie about that.
Yeah, they did. It's in the movies. Yeah. This is one of those things, if you were wondering where it comes from, because the movies, they reference it all the time. The Phoenix is like her whole thing. And it almost becomes a joke now of how often she just dies and comes back. It wasn't intended to be a joke, but now it kind of is. Like, it just when you got nothing to do with Jean Grey, you just kill her.
You just die.
And then just bring her back.
And then bring her back.
But yeah, this is one of those books. As a kid, much like Hulk 181, as a kid reading comic books, these were like the mythical stories. Like when you read about it, we didn't have the internet when I was a kid, so you get your information from like other kids or older kids who have read these comics, and so it's kind of exciting to finally have like this book in my hands.
We're just going. We're getting crazy with it today. Serena says the animated series is pretty good too for the Phoenix stuff.
It is. I love the '90s animated series. Man, that's the stuff.
Serena says she wants to retire before 50, because that ad was in there.
Oh yeah.
It's cool because it's the actual ad that was in the book. They don't change any of that.
That's my favorite thing about those facsimiles. Just everything, like right as you would have read it in 1978.
Excellent.
All right.
78.
That's when that first one came out, I believe, X-Men 101. Yeah, 78. How old were you back in 1978, Dan?
0.
All right. Continuing with the old guy theme.
I was born in 78.
So this is for the 90s old guys,
Hells
not
yeah.
the 70s old guys. It's the quick stops. Snickety snooch. So this, if you're a fan of Kevin Smith and the View Askew-niverse, he's done many comics throughout the years. This collects a recent 4-issue series, I think it was, maybe it was 5, called Quick Stops, and it just is short stories about the characters in the View Askew-niverse with different artists. I guess it is a Kevin Smith thing, so I should probably be careful about which page I open up to,
right?
Because like with the comics, he doesn't hold back on. I mean, the movies are known for kind of going places, but in the comics, he can go even further. But one of my favorite artists, Phil Hester, does some of these stories. It's really good. If you're... Oh, there we go. That's one that I shouldn't have shown. So we're just going to stop flipping through that. But, I think if you know Kevin Smith, you know what you're getting into.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
This is a family-friendly channel. We're trying.
Yeah, you just chastise them for cursing.
Comics are a mixed bag sometimes,
It's true, yeah.
There's adult comics, and then there's very adult comics. So yeah.
Yep. But yeah, if you like Kevin Smith,
I do.
You might want to check this out. I don't know if I explained it. This is a beautiful hardcover collection. You can I don't know if you can see, but it's a really nice, solid book.
It's a solid book.
And like I said, it's got good art. It's got all the fun characters from Clerks and Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Dogma.
Tango.
You know what? I'm not familiar with Tango. He's probably an artist, though.
It's a Tango.
But anyway, that's another one that comes out tomorrow. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just a heads up. Another one that we don't want to take too much time on, but I just want to reiterate my love for Superman Lost. This book is coming out tomorrow, so if you're looking for a Superman series to follow, this is a good one. It's completely detached from the continuity. It's just a really cool, smart Superman story about him getting lost on the other side of the galaxy and having to find his way back to Earth.
Hanging out with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, this one has Wonder Woman on the cover. There's been a few unexpected cameos in this book that I didn't expect. So, yeah, good series. Moving on, another series that I'm really excited about that I don't want to spend too much time on, Doom Patrol. Last week we talked about the facsimile edition of the first appearance of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
It is crazy, and so is the new series. Now, one thing, I really enjoyed this issue. I talked about the last issue that came out, Doom Patrol. This is number 3, and I just want to point out something. This is like more than talking about the book itself. I want to talk about publishing. So when Doom Patrol was first announced, it was issue 1 of an ongoing series. And then like a month later, issue 2 came out, and DC Comics decided that it would in fact be a limited series. Like you can see it says 3 of 6 on this issue. Yes. And then tomorrow, the new issue comes out, and we notice that it says 4 of 7. So they decided to add another issue to the series. I'm really excited because I was very upset when they made it a limited series. But
so short.
Yeah, 6 issues isn't enough for a good series. I want it to keep going forever.
Y'all have an echo. It's coming and going. We don't know what the echo's from. Like, we're not touching anything.
Are you repeating the things that I said?
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh no. There you go. That's what you do when you have an echo.
Yeah. All I want to do with this, we'll turn this into the Dan Karaoke channel. I'm fine with that.
Let's do it.
I just want to point out the importance. Oh, man. Giving me the giggles.
That's what we're doing here, man. It should be fun to talk about comics.
It is fun. I love comics. I just want to point out the importance of buying monthly comics instead of waiting for the trade, which is a lot of things. It's just a thing that a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of it myself. Because
you don't buy them, you just wait for the trade.
You wait for the collected edition to come out and read it. I do it sometimes. Only a lot of times you have to do it because if you miss a good series and you hear about it after the fact, you have to buy the trade. But there's a lot of people that have settled into no longer buying monthly issues, and they just wait for it to come out in trade paperback because the trade paperback, they get the whole story at once. There's no advertisements in the trade paperback, so that's another nice thing.
I like the ads.
Although, well, I will say one thing is with modern comics, there are basically no ads in them anymore. I was kind of surprised by that. There used to be advertisements for like potato chips and cars.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And you don't like flipping through this, you don't see that. The only ads you see are for other DC books. So that's one thing that kind of, I don't know when it happened. It just sort of like shocked me one day. I was reading it and I'm like, wait a minute.
There's no.
Where's all the ads for like combos and video games
delicious
and stuff?
Combos.
Yeah,
Nintendo.
Just gone.
Serena says, "I'm sorry, I'll stop my commentary." No, that's what we like the commentary.
That's why we like the live stream.
That's the live stream. Singing comic book reviews. There you go.
Yeah.
You gotta sing the whole thing.
Oh, I'm not prepared. I didn't come prepared for that. All that is to say that when the publishers do have a tough job of trying to decide what's going to fill the market, and their biggest barometer still to this day, you would think they would have something better, but it is just on how many units an issue moves in a month. And so there's a lot of people, it's a sad story, but it'll happen where people are like, oh, I really loved that book, I was collecting it in a trade, and I'm sorry to see it get canceled. And part of that is because they didn't have the information of the amount of people that were buying the trade paperback. All they had was the people who weren't buying the single issues. So that's just a casual reminder that, first of all, a reminder that DC sometimes, I don't know if they know what they're doing, but
wow, spicy accusations today. I like
you know what? This Doom Patrol went from an ongoing to a 6 issue to a 7 issue, and this is not the only series that has done it. It happens many times. So I'm just glad that we're getting an extra issue.
It's a common theme with DC.
It is, and I don't disagree. So, continuing with the DC theme.
Shazam!
Last week I read that Night Terror's First Blood, I think, and I am a little resentful that this Night Terrors is interrupting my regular books that I'm reading. So I am reading the regular Shazam series. I decided to give this book a read because it is written by Mark Waid. But it just kind of bothers me that, like the Doom Patrol book, for example, all the continuity in the Doom Patrol is dealing with the fallout of the previous event they did. I've already forgotten what it was. The Leviathan, something like that. I don't know. I don't read DC events. And so this month, already the new event is going on. Like, they can't even let the old event, like the After Effects, like finish. They're already jumping into a new event.
Whole other thing. We don't got time for that.
So I read this issue, and I felt obligated to because it is written by Mark Waid, and it's fine. I guess that's all I can say. It's fine. It's not drawn by Dan Mora, who's the regular Shazam artist. It's drawn by Roger Cruz, but I will admit that he does a pretty good Dan Mora impersonation.
Homage.
An homage, maybe.
Maybe an
but
impersonation.
The nice thing about it is that this issue is not about Billy Batson Shazam, it's about Mary Marvel. And I like Mary Marvel, she's a good character. But if you don't remember what I was talking about last week, the basic setup for Night Terrors is that all the superheroes are having nightmares that are like come to life, and they have to like fight monsters. And this just felt like such a filler. It's a 2-issue series. It felt very unsubstantial. I wish if they're going to interrupt the main series for this kind of like event thing, I wish it had just been 1 issue. I don't want to wait another second issue.
Stretching it
out. They're stretching it out. Like, they just got
to make 2 books out of 1.
Right, and it really could have just, it feels like it could be 1. I don't know, maybe the next issue will be chock full of stuff, but this, I don't know, just talking to customers, everybody feels like they're not super excited about the Night Terrors crossover. It's the idea itself is perfectly fine. It's like I said, it's Nightmare or Freddy Krueger. It's Freddy Krueger but with superheroes. That's fine. That's a perfectly fine setup. But I don't like the way it's interrupting my my regular Shazam reading. And especially because it's like in complete contrast to the main series, which is like bright and cheerful and fun.
Sure.
And now this is like horror movie.
Scary.
Scary. It's like the people.
Kind of a stretch.
It seems like the people that are into the new book aren't going to care about this. Like, But anyway, that's that. Now let's move on.
Let's talk about one you do like.
Let's talk about some books that I do like. I'm very excited. Do we see somebody behind us? No. It's just like spying on shoppers behind us. If you've been following this stream, you know that I love this book, Deep Cuts. It's written by Kyle Higgins. Each issue is drawn by a different artist. This issue is by Joe Clark. I did talk about, I think, the previous 2 issues, or at least issue 2. I said it was the best comic to come out this week, and I'm prepared to say that again about this issue, issue 3. Best comic I read this week is Deep Cuts. If you like music, if you like jazz, if you like historical fiction, if you like strong character drama, this is the book you need to read. It's just so good. Each issue tells its own standalone story. They're not connected in any way other than just through the themes of being about music and being about history. So this issue takes place in 1940, Kansas City, and it's about a young man who is a jazz musician. He plays bass, but he's retired from playing bass because he's got a family, he's got a new baby and a little kid, and his wife works a job, and he works overnights at another job just to make ends meet. And they got troubles, the furnace is going out, and he gets the opportunity to rejoin one of the most famous jazz bands, and he has to kind of make this decision about his family versus his dreams of being a musician. And I won't spoil what it's about, but the nice part about the story that I really like is that it's kind of told through the eyes of his daughter, and she's kind of the main character of it, and she's obsessed with this comic book because it's the 1940s, so everybody read comics back then.
Legit.
Legit, exactly. And so she's obsessed with this comic book called The Spooky Boys. And it's basically just like young boy adventure detectives. And so she...
like Hardy Boys.
Yeah, like Hardy Boys, exactly. And so she, as a young kid, really never gets to see her dad because he's always working. She's at school, he's at home during the day taking care of the baby, and then at night he's working. And so she's kind of coming up with all these comic book-like scenarios for why he's not in a band anymore. And he's like, oh, maybe he got in trouble with the mafia, or maybe he got into drugs and had to quit, or maybe, it's kind of fun. She's like playing a little detective, trying to figure out her dad's past, and he's kind of coming to terms with how connected he is with his family and how connected he is with music. It's wonderful. It's really great. I can't stress it enough. It's an excellent comic. I love it.
You should get it.
Yes. We should be selling out of that book.
Selling out.
Another book.
Are we selling it?
You know what? I know we're selling it. I don't know if we're selling out, but yeah, it's an excellent book. Another book I want to talk about that's really great in the theme of strong character stories. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's called The Immortal Sergeant. And this is about, basically it's a father and son relationship, kind of following the theme of the previous issue of Deep Cuts. The father is a retired police sergeant. The son is a young boy who kind of hates him and doesn't get along with him because his dad is old school, like, you know, kind of jerky. I'm trying to choose my language carefully, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's a jerk. He doesn't get along with his son. His son is kind of on the sensitive side. He's a video game programmer. He wants to be a modern progressive dad. He just had a kid himself, and so he's concerned about what kind of parent he's going to be. And this is basically a road trip movie, or a road trip story with the dad and the son, where the dad is determined to hunt down this murderer that got away from him. It's like the one case that got away. And he thinks he's finally tracked him down. He knows where he is. He's figured it out, and he's going to go do some old-fashioned justice. And the son goes with him, against his will at first. And so now they're having this, because they already have a horrible relationship, and and now they're kind of like, you think they're going to like bond together, but they really don't. They just like, but as the story progresses, you learn some things about them, and you kind of learn some more stuff about the story. It's really great character stuff. Like, I want to stress that. So one thing that's important to note is the art is by Ken Nomura, and if you look at it, you can kind of see that it's really like a real loose manga style, which gives the story kind of a playful look, which I think makes it kind of, I think it tones down the seriousness of the story, because it deals a lot with racism, generational trauma. It's actually a really heavy story. Like the dad is like an unlikable character. He's racist. He's not a good guy. And so it's like they're dealing with stuff like that, and the son is kind of having to just figure out how to deal with that. Reconcile it exactly. But also his dad, it's like the guy that they're going after is not a good guy. Like he's a child murderer.
Oh wow.
So it again deals with really heavy stuff, but at the end it's still like a really just like core character drama. This is brought to you by the two guys that did a book that I really love called I Kill Giants, which was turned into a movie a few years back, maybe 5 years ago. That's also really good.
What was it called? I Kill Giants?
It's called I Kill Giants. And that's also a really good. Well, we've got the trade paperback of it on the shelf, so maybe I'll pull it out next week and we can flip through that. Because it's one of actually my favorite comics. I got a signed copy by the writer Joe Kelly. Yeah, I love that book. But anyway, let's move on. So now we're going to move on to the 4 number ones.
Interesting.
This is the new stuff that's coming out tomorrow.
Boom.
So this first one, Fish Flies by Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is a guy out there, comic book fans, you should all know him. He's got a lot of fans. He does a lot of great stuff. He did the book I've already forgotten, Sweet Tooth. That's turned into the show. Yeah, so that's him. This is, if you read there was half of this came out for Free Comic Book Day this year. So I know a lot of people would have looked at that.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a macabre horror story. Basically, there's just like all these bugs. You can kind of see they're all like dead bugs all over the ground. And the real simple like setup is that these kids go into a convenience store and there's a criminal that's holding it up, and a gun goes off, somebody gets shot, bad things happen, and then he's trying to hide, and he hides out in a barn, and he meets this weird girl that always has a runny nose, and she's kind of charming in her weirdness. Like, what I like about Jeff Lemire is that he really does make like interesting characters that don't feel like they're trying too hard to be like a TV character. They feel like a real character, but also like weird. Like they don't feel like somebody that you know, but you could know them. It's like everybody knows like
there's something you can relate.
Something you can relate to them. Yeah. So this is book 1. I think it's a 6-issue series. It's got I won't spoil the ending of it, but there's definitely some surreal weirdness going on with this girl and this like bug character that shows up. It's like I don't really want to call it a horror because it's not like
just a weird.
It's just creepy. Like it's more like macabre is I think the term I use. It's like old fashioned, like almost like Edgar Allan Poe-ish like it's not like monsters jumping out all the time, but it's like dark and weird. Yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, so definitely a good book. If you like that kind of stuff, I'm sure this one will sell really good because everybody loves Jeff Lemire. He's awesome. Next book, number 1.
Here.
This is a book that I know nothing about, but I did read it just because it's a new number 1. It's called Antarctica, and basic setup is this. There's a common theme with a lot of these books is young women and their relationships with their fathers.
Oh boy.
So main character, young woman, has a bad relationship with her father. He disappears, and she becomes homeless, living on the street, and this basically is just her backstory. That's a setup for what's to come later on. I thought it was fine, but I kind of felt like there wasn't enough substance to it.
Where are they going with this?
Yeah, where are they going? There's a final page twist, and I don't want to spoil it, but it will. There's some weirdness going on with it. Like there's some kind of either, probably I'm gonna estimate like a multiverse kind of thing going on. She eventually gets a job she puts herself through school and gets a job as a researcher and goes to Antarctica to work on this thing, and then creepy stuff happens in Antarctica because it's Antarctica. Nobody's supposed to live there.
Yeah,
and
or whatever.
Exactly. I think they are kind of trying to get a little bit of the Thing vibe, but in my opinion, it took them too long to get there. They spent so much time on her backstory, which, frankly, I didn't care that much. It could have
just sort of tuned out of that.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I get it. She's bad relationship with her father. Her father disappeared. She's on a downward spiral, but then she pulls herself together. It's really weird how it sets up her whole life is ruined, but the beginning is told over a long stretch of time. So it's you think it's going to end in one way, and then they just skip right over it. And they're like, okay, she got her life back on track.
It seems inconsequential.
I was like, why did we spend all that time with her being homeless? And I mean, it'll probably pay off in later issues.
Maybe something later will happen.
Maybe, I'm hoping. Because otherwise I feel like it was wasted space. But, we'll see. I like to, I've got 2 more books I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I always ask one of our coworkers to pick out a book for me to talk about. And our good friend Abby, who we like to call Abble Dabble. So, Abble Dabble. Feel free to call her that if you come into the store. She'll respond to it really well, I'm sure. But she couldn't decide which book for me to talk about. This Sirens of the City or The Hunger and the Dusk. So I decided to just read both of them. I talked about them both real quick. Going with the theme of young women having bad relationships with their fathers, Sirens of the City
it's another one of those.
Also starts out with a young woman who is homeless and living on the streets. Actually, it starts off with her. First of all, this one takes place in 1987, so there is some cool fashion and characters in this one.
Yes.
80s punks.
We like 80s.
80s goths. So I definitely appreciate that. This book, by the way, I guess I should say, it's written by Joanne Starer, and it's illustrated by Carrie Randolph. And I don't know where I know Carrie Randolph. It's familiar, and I like the art a lot. I just can't remember for the life of me why I know it. But it's a good-looking book. It's very stylized, as you can see. It's black and white, but with these red and blue colors here and there.
I really like that.
Yeah, it's good. I really like the stylization of it. This is also a book, unlike the previous one. This one feels pretty substantial. There's a lot going on, and it's a lot of setup for the whole series. There's a lot of characters introduced, and there's a lot of mystery established. I would say on the surface, it's kind of like a traditional X-Men story, honestly, where all these teenagers realize they have powers and they realize they're something else. Except it's filtered through a supernatural lens. They reference some characters as bloodsuckers. The main character herself, as referred to at the title of the book, she's a siren. So there's some mythological elements to it, supernatural myth characters rather than just superpowers. They're not. It's not a superhero theme at all. But just the whole she's living on the street. She's been kicked out of her foster home. It's the first episode of the X-Men animated series with Jubilee, but set in the '80s where everybody's punk and goth and vampire. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. There's it's a lot of setup. So there's like these kind of warring gangs, and they all have like they refer to each other as through slang, so you're not really sure what they are, but you can infer.
Yeah, you put it together.
You put it together. So looks like there's some cool stuff going on. One of the main themes of this book appears to be body autonomy, because the whole thing with her is that she's pregnant and she wants to get an abortion, but the baby daddy wants to keep it, but there might be some ulterior motives to it because she is more than she seems. She's some kind of, important being or person. Right. So it's a solid setup for an interesting looking story. I think, the mystery was exactly enough. It kind of bothered me where I'm like, I wish there was more established. But I can't say it didn't do its job because I kind of want to know more about it where it's going.
The next one to figure it
out.
I'm
probably going to have to read the next one to figure it out. So good job for them. They got me.
Yeah. Sirens of the City.
So there you go, Abby. That's a good one. I think
Hunger and the Dust.
I think Abby will like Sirens of the City.
Did she read? She just picked it up.
She just picked it up and wanted. She thought it looked cool because it had like a punk rock chick on it.
It does look cool.
And she picked this one up too because it has like fantasy. Warrior and like an orc on it. And so this book is written by G. Willow Wilson, who some people might know as the creator of Miss Marvel, the newer character, the one that just had the Disney Plus TV series.
Yeah.
And it's drawn by Chris Wildgoose, who I'm not familiar with, but he has beautiful artwork. And this, contrary to the previous 3 number ones, I would actually say this is a really, really substantial issue. Like, it's a solid setup.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It feels like a full comic, even though the story itself isn't that complex.
Right.
Basically, it's just humans and orcs live in the same kind of area, and they're always warring with each other over land.
As you do.
It happens. But then some otherworldly monsters show up and start killing everybody indiscriminately. So the humans and the orcs have to put their differences aside to prepare for this epic war with monsters. And that's pretty much it. there's an established.
I mean, what else do you need?
Yeah,
a common enemy.
Now
they get to learn about each other.
Exactly, and
they weren't so bad after all.
We all learn a valuable lesson about ourselves.
That's right.
Maybe. The main 2 characters are this human character, and then there's an orc cleric. She's like a healer. There's magic in this. There is just straight up magic.
I mean, you see that from the...
Yes.
Don't judge a book by its cover, but you can tell.
You can tell that there's magic involved. Yeah. And basically, she's sent to them, like the human tribe, as like a diplomat, goodwill. So she's like kind of resentful of it. She doesn't want to be there. She wants to be with her own kind, but then they kind of learn to get along, and it's just solid. Like, it's some action, beautiful artwork. The characters are all fully fleshed out. This is a good book. I think this is one that everybody will really like. If you like fantasy stuff, you're gonna love this book. Like, you play D&D, you wanna check this one out. I know, Dan, you don't like fantasy stuff. You like
some of it.
Yeah. Okay. A little teeny bit.
I don't even know where the hell. Yeah.
That's
old school.
That's our old people.
Boo, Serena said boo.
Yeah, boo, Dan.
Okay, you guys know. You all know already. Anybody that's watching this stream already knows how I feel about that. But that looks like a great comic book.
It is
good.
We'll
have to check that out.
So
look at all the
thumbs down for Dan. Boo.
Man, that's
thumbs
harsh.
Down.
That's a tough audience here. Well, is that all the books?
But that's all the books I got for this week. Abby picked out 2 good books for me. I think she's going to like both of them.
Those might be like the best ones almost out of the stack that we had there today.
They're really good, yeah. I still got to give it to Deep Cuts. I love jazz, I love music, I love historical fiction. It's really nice. And also, I would actually say Immortal Sergeant on a personal level. I just love those creators so much. We haven't talked about it on the stream before because we just always have so much to talk about, and that one always kind of gets pushed to the side.
Right.
Because I kind of feel like, I don't know, I almost feel like more of a personal connection with that book. Like, nobody else is going to like this. This book is just for me.
Yeah.
But I want to get it out there because I want more people to read it because I think they'll really enjoy it. So definitely, if you can't find the issues, I should have said that was issue 7 of Immortal Sergeant.
Okay, so we're in.
Yes, we're deep into it. That's actually the penultimate issue. It's an 8-issue series, so the final issue will come out next month. and then the trade should be shortly thereafter. So I'm going to be talking about it more.
Yeah, when the trade comes
out. When the trade comes out, I highly recommend it. But that's all I got for today.
Awesome. We did it, man.
We did it. All right. I didn't think we could, but we did.
We did it. We made it through. Go buy some comic books. Stop by our place, hang out with us. And if you can't hang out here, find somewhere else to buy comic books because comic books are awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Serena, you're awesome.
That's true. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.